located roughly?
So I'm currently up in Eildon.
Yep.
But the stories are a few years old now, the sightings. And back then I was living in Yea, and one of them I was living in Flowerdale.
Okay.
Which is not far from Yea, if you know the area.
Yep.
So the first one was, I'm trying to remember, I'd left Yea, and I'm just trying to remember what the time was. It was around spring, and it was probably about 8 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And I was heading back towards Flowerdale, and there's what they call Junction Hill, which is between Yea and Flowerdale. There's farmland around. There's also a lot of forest and tree sort of patches and things.
Okay, yep.
And that all joins up, goes down to Homewood and joins up into Glenburn. So it's quite a big stretch of bush.
Yeah, with a bit of grazing land around it type thing. Sort of.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as I ever knew, I'd never really knew when there was any cat sightings up here. I thought they were always around the Grampians and the sort of down, around Gippsland and things like that. So it never sort of occurred to me to even be on the lookout for that sort of thing out that way. It was not something I thought were up here.
Yep.
And as I was driving, I caught some eye shine. I thought I had a fox on the road. And the eye shine would sort of flick from an orange to a green colour. Just seemed to depend a little bit on the angle of the eyes or something.
Okay.
And as I got closer, I realised that this animal is large. So I started thinking maybe a deer. I've seen deer on the road, but the eye shine just set really bright even for a deer.
Yeah.
And then I realised...
Yeah, so it was pretty large, like you sort of...
Yeah, it took me a while to work out what it was because it was actually carrying a wallaby, and it had a wallaby sort of around the back of the neck.
Okay.
And it had its head up, sort of trying to keep the wallaby from dragging on the ground too much. And then the rest of the cat sort of stretched across the road. It dropped the wallaby sort of just off the opposite side of the road to where I was driving, so off the right-hand side of the road for me, and then just sort of jumped into the bush there over a little bit of an embankment.
Yep.
And I hear always people saying, what I saw was about the size of a Labrador, and I guess height off the ground, I would say maybe the size of a Labrador, but the body length was quite a bit longer.
Okay, yep.
It seemed to stretch across the road.
Yeah.
And it had, quite a very long tail.
So more feline in appearance than like the canine.
Definitely feline in appearance. Just the long body, the tail, the way it moved. And I got home and I grabbed my dog and put him in the house. I was a little bit freaked out about it.
So how far was it from your home? Were you just like it just shook you around a bit, did it? Or?
Yeah, there's probably about 10 k's from home, but where I was living at the time in Flowerdale, there's all forest and that around me, and I just all of a sudden realised there's something really big and predatory out there, and I don't think my border collie would do too well up against it. So
yeah, I know where you're coming from. I'm sort of the same way. It's sort of changed the way you look at the bush. So
yeah. Well, man, even where I live now, on 170 acres, there's deer and roo everywhere. Yep. And if I go into the bush down behind my place, I always take the gun with me because it's just that who knows what's out there now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I always just want that with me. It just makes me feel safe, even though I've never seen anything, up here myself in the Eildon area. But so it sort of, I guess, was a bit of an awakening for me as far as, well, I know they're out there. I've seen whatever it was.
Yep.
And I couldn't say it was a leopard or a jaguar, although it did have that look about it, but it was black.
It was black, yep.
Well, at least very, very dark. Not jet black, it was very dark. And yeah.
Did you see you kept driving, you didn't stop at all?
I sort of went to stop because I have a move. If I see an animal on the road, I pull it off the road. Yep. Because they can cause accidents. So I wasn't getting out of the car. I sort of slowed down and then I was like, I'm not touching it, it's food.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, of course, at that stage, they weren't of any sort of real interest to me, in that I've never really taken a great interest in them. They were sort of interesting.
Yeah.
But there was no, whereas I think nowadays I'd probably be a little bit inclined to, I don't know, at least shine the torch into the bush and see if I could get another look or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it was one of those things at the time. It's like when people say, why don't you take a photo? Well, I mean, just animals leaping into the bush, and you just don't have the time.
Yeah, look, it was pretty quick. But by the time I realised what it actually was, it was all, it was pretty much, it had dropped the wallaby and it was into the bush. So
the sighting only lasted for a matter of seconds, more or less?
Yeah, look, I mean, probably 5 seconds tops, by the time I sort of got the eye shine, and I think it was pretty keen to try and get this wallaby away from me.
Yeah.
And I think once I got a little bit too close, he went, no, just going to drop it and go.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. But I mean, he wasn't overly struggling with it, but I think he couldn't really run because it was sort of tripping under his legs, That's why he had his head up trying to get it out from his front legs.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see them doing that in the wild, you see on TV and stuff, they sort of try and struggle with it. I mean, they're very strong, but it's just awkward because of their size, I guess. So. Yeah,
I think he just didn't have sort of the head height off the ground to get the wallaby sort of out from under his legs. Just by the look, he really seemed to be trying to hold his head up high, with this wallaby, and that's why sort of driving up the road, I couldn't work out what it was because there was just sort of legs and tails everywhere at first.
Did you have the impression that it was it came from the other side of the road and was just crossing the road, or do you think it took the wallaby in the vicinity type thing?
I don't know. I sort of had the impression that he dragged the wallaby out of the bush from one side of the road and was taking it to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, he may have been eating and then he heard the car coming and decided to remember, I couldn't tell you for sure. But the impression I got was that he was just, sort of carrying it around.
Okay.
Which I thought because normally that's sort of wherever they kill things, but I found out recently that the leopards will drag things away and drag them up trees. I thought, well, maybe.
Yeah. Or,
yeah.
At least into an area where they can conceal it with leaves or leaves and stuff like that. Yeah. So, what's the impression you get from people when you actually tell them about the sighting?
Most people sort of like, I believe you. You think you saw something, sort of an idea, that they don't really know. Some people sort of like, well, they're around, I've sort of spoken to a few people, I've seen them. So, I mean, I do snake catching, and I've spoken to a few people, customers I've caught snakes for, and they'll say they've seen them here and there in the area.
Yep.
Some of them date back to 13 years ago. So it became surprised that there'd been more sightings than I was at all aware of. And when I ask people, they don't really tell anyone about it. They sort of, they talk to me because we're having a cup of coffee and I might bring it up,
Yep.
Because it's sort of become, I guess interesting to me. I mean, the first time I started, I didn't really tell many people. It was the second sighting where I started getting a little bit more, I guess, excited about what's out there.
Okay, and how? When was the second sighting? How much?
Yeah, so the second sighting was, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, it was roughly about a year later.
Yep.
And I was out fox hunting with a friend of mine. And we're in Homewood area, which is sort of where this bush joined up to where I saw the first cat, so it could have even been the same one.
Yep.
And we've just sort of come to the boundary of the property, so we're packing up the guns and we just put the guns away. This cat, crossed the road in front of me. And they look at it, and I just said, "Hey, mate, a pretty large feral cat just crossed the road." So quickly grabbed the guns out and got up the road with the spotlight, and I could see the cat through the grass, just sort of see his back and head, see his tail flicking the grass a bit sometimes.
Yep. So he was the same size as the first cat?
Well, it didn't look like it at first. And it's sort of hard to tell. And it was a bit of a distance, and just the headlights of the Holden Radar, which aren't greatly bright headlights.
Yep.
So it was hard to really gauge the size of it until when my mate grabbed his gun out and he jumped into the grass, I realised the grass is, you know, sort of up above his knees, and I could see this cat walking through that. I thought that was, you know, that's a very, very large cat, and I thought to myself, he's got the wrong gun. He went out there with the 17 HMR, which is good for foxes and rabbits, but I wouldn't be shooting large animals with it.
No, exactly.
He got it into his sights, and he said he just looked at it, and then he sort of made the same decisions as I did. He didn't really want to shoot it with that gun, because if it doesn't kill it, he might find himself in trouble.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
he decided to retreat slowly backwards to the car.
Yep.
And when he was telling me about it, he said it was quite big, very, you know, because he got a better look with it, obviously, with the scope and the spotlight on it. So, you know, you could see sort of muscle definition around the shoulders. And I asked him, you know, was it a cat? He goes, it was definitely a cat. It's massive.
Okay, so did they make, was it making any noise like that? Like, did it just...
Yeah. It didn't seem to be threatened by him. You know, sort of, he said, like, I kept looking back at him, and it just kept walking. I wasn't really worried about him being there. Just had no real fear.
Yeah.
And you'd lose sight of it occasionally in the grass, and it'd pop up somewhere else. So I think it was just trying to sneak off.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think we just caught it in a big open paddock, so there was nowhere for him to really hide well.
Yeah, what time of night was this? Was this...
We'll pack him up. Yeah, look, it was pretty late. I'd say it's probably somewhere between 11 o'clock at night to midnight.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, normally we pack up around then, because the foxes seem to go pretty quiet until the early hours of the morning after midnight. So
yep,
that's normally when we give up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not actually hunting for big cats.
No, and look, on that night, the interesting thing was that property we've always seen lots of foxes, and on that night we didn't see any.
Okay.
And when we saw that big cat, we were sort of joking about a couple of days later, we sort of realised that might be why we didn't see any foxes. They might have gone. This thing was roaming around. And
yeah, well, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that, they are fussy eaters in the way they want to eat something fresh, but I guess if they're probably opportunistic, so there's something out there that's easy prey, and they're hungry.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I don't know, maybe they'll have a go at the foxes, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea. It might have been just coincidence that we didn't see any foxes. It's just information, I suppose.
Possibilities, yep.
Yeah. So, that one, like I said, I didn't personally get a really good look at, but my friend did, and he became pretty nervous about it, and he had seen one beforehand, years ago near Warrigal. I was actually with him, but I didn't see it. I was driving a ute. I saw sort of something. I thought it was a dog or something going into the bush, and didn't really pay any attention.
Yep.
And he made me stop the car and got the spotlight out and started looking for him. What was it? He goes, it was a cat. It was a huge cat. So, it's not really my story because I didn't see much. I just was second-hand information. But that wasn't actually all that far from the township of Warrigal.
Okay.
That was about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
So, but once again, that, real late hours of the night, early hours of the morning. So,
yeah. Now, so you're saying that when you get down to the property now, you take a gun. How do you go about camping and stuff like that? Does this sort of get you a bit unnerved with that sort of stuff? Or?
Well, not greatly. I mean, sort of after looking around, I've never heard of anyone being attacked by any black cats. I heard a story in New South Wales, but that sounded like it was more just a large moggy type thing because the claw marks were sort of just scratches. They weren't really ripping the flesh.
Yeah, that was in Kenthurst, I believe. Was a teenager.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So I sort of heard of that, but other than that, I'd never really heard of any, major attacks or anything. Although, who knows who goes missing out there?
Yeah.
So I'm not overly nervous, I mean, if I sort of have to go out and I can't grab the gun for whatever reason, I go, but it's in the back of my mind, surely. Yeah.
Okay. And you were saying earlier about a thylacine sighting that your father had?
Yep.
Whereabouts, was that like around the same area, was it? Or?
Look, I was very young, and my dad was seeing my brother who was doing rehab at the time. So this was once again, I think from memory, he said it was about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And he was driving out there just to take some fresh, nibblies and bits and pieces out there for him.
Yep.
And that was out, I think it was out like out Bunyip Way or something like that. I can't remember for sure. It was, out around the Warrigal, Druin, Bunyip type area.
Okay, yep.
But it was way out in the sticks. It's rehab. The whole idea of it was is even if you get away, it's going to be hours before you find a town. So
yeah, it's a bit like
yeah, that's right. And I was sort of Dad's very sort of cautious to say anything to anyone about it. So, but. Yeah, I mean, he said to me, look, it was either a thylacine or a very weird, distorted dog.
Okay.
The only thing he sort of said is he never saw any stripes on it.
Yep.
Which, if he'd seen stripes, then he would have said, yeah, well, it was definitely a thylacine, but because of, it was dark and the lack of stripes, he sort of wasn't really 100% sure, but that's what he felt that it was.
Yeah, yep.
And, I don't know. Maybe on the mainland they didn't have stripes. Who knows?
Yeah, well, there's apparently there's a theory on that as well. That perhaps there are some that don't have the stripes. But look, who knows? They could be out there. It's one of those things.
That would be more exciting for me if they're out there personally, because they definitely belong.
Yeah. Exactly.
These cats or whatever we're seeing, I sometimes, they're just so sort of leopard-like to me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I like to think that maybe it's actually the marsupial lions just not yet discovered.
Yeah, it's possible.
That'd be fantastic news. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so like you say, you're into conservation and stuff. So.
Yeah. So, always excited to see native animals that are meant to be extinct show up. That'd be good. Yeah,
that'd be great. So, all right, Tim. Well, thank you for your time.
There was one other one, which isn't a very definite thing.
No,
this was up in the Highlands on a property called Havey Howe.
Havey Howe.
Yep, and I was weed spraying up there for, I won't say who the business was, but I was working for a weed spraying business.
Yep.
And we're working on that property. And I was sort of spraying along the creek and down into the blackberries. And on the other side of the creek, I heard this sound. I'll try and mimic it as best I can. I'm going to sound like an idiot, but I'll have a go anyways.
Okay.
There's sort of this coffee grunty sort of sound.
Okay.
And it just shot through the blackberries, and all I saw was black.
Yep.
Now, at the time, I thought, maybe a pig or something. It wasn't until about a month later, my wife brought home a kitten. And we have an adult cat, and she started making this noise, not nearly as loud, but this same noise to the kitten, this really threatening, very unhappy noise, and it sort of clicked in my head that
that's a sound.
That huge black thing was making a sound that I know now that cats can make. So possibly, I wouldn't swear on it, I wouldn't die on this is what I saw, but it just sort of, just possibly another encounter that. It's sort of like a circumstantial type thing. It happened to be black, but that's all I saw. It was really just a flash in the blackberries, and it made that sound that I know cats can make.
Okay. So you're out spraying, so obviously that was during the day, I'd say. Yeah,
that was in the middle of the day. It was quite hot weather. It was in summer, and it was up against the creek and hidden in the blackberries.
Okay, yep.
Sort of a cool spot to be for any animal. Quite often... we sort of see foxes along the creeks and stuff in the middle of the day when we're doing that. I think just the animals go in there to cool down.
Yeah.
And up in the Highlands there, once again, there's lots of bushland. It was actually right next to a little national park area. I can't remember the name of the national park now. But it was only a small area that the creek ran through.
Yeah.
So that was the third sort of, I guess, possible encounter.
Okay.